Hey everyone, it's Aima Kabani, and over here I have with me Hussein Kabani, your favorite broker.
That's right. And we are going to be telling you a story in our next clip here about why it's important to be diligent throughout the process and making sure that you have a collaborative relationship with the other realtor that you're working with to ensure that both parties get what they want to get and you ensure a smooth transaction.
Live behind decisions I chose. Peaks feel good and the valleys get low. Chains for the tires in the rain, hail, snow. It's like this everywhere that I go, everywhere that I go.
So we saw several houses with this buyer, and we really want to help them find the perfect property for them and their family because, you know, it's very important to them to have like a really central hub, and they really needed that space to be perfect for them. They have a very hectic school schedule for the kids. They have a very busy personal and business life. So everything has to be really planned out well, and it had to make sense. So after seeing a bunch of houses, this one really clicked. Everything was really nicely done on this property. Like this particular person purchased this property like maybe a year or so ago, maybe not even that long ago.
Yep.
And they really renovated the daylights out of this thing. Like everything was so nice. Like you felt like you walked into a brand new house. That's exactly how it felt. And not only that, what they did was above the garage, they added an addition with like 2 bedrooms, a laundry room, like a hallway. It was really nice, like really well put together.
And I feel like most homes that are put together to that like that nicely are people who intend to live in it forever. So they've customized it to their liking. Everything is perfect, and it's also very practical. So when you walk in, you know that someone's put love and care into this home, and it feels different than your cookie cutter home.
Like nothing felt cheap about it.
Yeah.
The floors didn't, the countertops didn't, the kitchen didn't, the appliances didn't. Like there's so many places here. If you were gonna do a flip, you could have done so many different things around this thing, but it was really well put together. It was meant to live in, okay? So we're kind of confused. Like they just bought it not too long ago. They put so much money into it. Like I want to say it was like $500,000 or something like that. It was a big amount of money that they put into this property. And then they were selling it and they weren't getting what they kind of wanted to get. And long story short, after kind of hammering at them for a while, we got it down to a price where neither side was happy.
Yeah, that's
right?
a good way
But that's
to
a
put
good deal. No one's happy about this deal, right?
Meet in the middle
But,
kind of thing.
yeah. So we got it to work. Even it came down to like, okay, I'm not giving you the TV anymore or this and that. And we're like, we're fighting over a couple of G's on a pretty big deal here.
Pots and pans.
Exactly. So it went through. This was a conditional offer, and it was a conditional offer. And this is why I always like to do this, okay? On any kind of freehold purchase, we're always putting in 3 conditions, okay? We're doing a financing condition, we're doing a home inspection condition, and we're putting in a lawyer review. And I usually always get pushback on my lawyer review condition. It's like people don't understand, like the seller agent doesn't understand why I have a lawyer review condition.
We almost always get pushback on what is this about? Why does your lawyer need to review an agreement that's pretty much set in stone? If you're not happy with it, it's standard.
It's a standard agreement, more or less. But there's a lot of stuff that the lawyer can look into for you, right? Yeah. And I mean, like, look, if I have to cross out any of them, I think I might be inclined to cross out the lawyer review condition, but we have them in there. And if my client wants to cross out any of the conditions, that's on them. We write them in all of our agreements either way. But so we get this offer accepted. And in this case, I actually had to remove the lawyer review because the guy didn't really like the whole thing about the lawyer review. He's like, why do you need it? This and that. Like, I said, fine. Because, there's different ways around these things, but I'd like to have it in there. So we go through this whole financing perspective, which is fine. Everything worked out. In fact, the house appraised. Like the house was fine. Like the appraisal came back on the house. There was no issues with it or anything else like that. And that's what we do. We want to make sure that we have the mortgage approved, the appraisal is good, before the client starts spending money on a home inspection. I don't want them to start spending money on a home inspection until we know they're going to be able to get the mortgage, right? So we do the home inspection. My home inspector that we used on here, he's very picky. I use him on all of my properties, and he's super anal about every little thing, okay? Maybe too much, but I'd rather have that. But anyways, he found a lot of different things that we had to go back and we had to question and whatever else like that. And as we're doing further due diligence on this whole thing, we went back, we pulled an impact report because now we're noticing for sure there's a renovation done to this, an addition and whatnot. And we just want to make sure that the permit, everything is good, it's closed and whatever. Sure enough, we find out that the permit is open.
Yes.
The permit is actually open on this thing. And I'm like, okay, sometimes MPAC messes up. I've seen it happen. Maybe they just have an error. It's not closed off or whatever else like that. So I emailed the town and I'm like, hey, here's a permit number. It's for an addition. I just want to confirm that it's closed off. They're like, nope, not closed off. Not approved yet. I was like, oh man, like that's not good.
And I think it goes through stages as well. If you're doing, depending on what kind of construction you're doing in a home, you have inspectors going through at various stages. Correct. And each one has to pass for the next one to start and so on and so forth. Yeah. And I think in this case, none of them
Nothing happened really, right? Like mind you, the owner, seller, whatever was in the construction business knew what he was doing. He did build a very quality product. But yeah, it didn't actually go through all that because it was his own house, right? Yeah. Like he was never planning on selling the thing. So he's like, I don't care if the permit's open, do whatever you want to do with it. Maybe it would have worked out better for him so they don't reassess the thing. I don't know. But anyways, there was an open permit. And obviously it's not good for my client that the permit is open because it could lead to the city coming back and wanting to do an inspection. Something could be wrong with that property and he would be on the hook for whatever it would be. The worst case could have been is like, we don't like the way you did this. We don't like the materials that you use. You got to take this whole thing down
and rebuild.
So what if you had to do that? Like that would be very, very, very costly. Yeah. So we needed to make sure that we get this permit closed. On the flip side of all of this, my client had actually sold his house already too. Yes. And they were on a timeline of where they needed to actually be and how soon they needed to be in a property. So it's like, we don't have time to wait around for this guy to be able to close his permit and whatnot. But they really liked the house. We really trusted the person that we're buying the property off of. And they did a quality job. Like from everything that we could see, we can't see that there's going to be a problem with this. But so we went forward. We did a notice of fulfillment to get rid of the financing, the home inspection condition, but we did insert a condition that they need to close off the permit, okay? And we had that done by our lawyer. We made sure that the lawyer was aware about what we were doing and what documentations that we required, and the lawyer actually helped us draft this clause to make sure that they're protected. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know legal things. I will write it out as best as I can, and then I'll send it over to the lawyer for the lawyer's approval, because at the end of the day, I don't want to be on the hook for that either. The lawyer should be reviewing something like that. So he gave us a timeline of like, he really needed 4 weeks. We were kind of hesitant because if it came out to that 4 weeks and that property wasn't done, we would have been in a bad situation. And even then, the way that the clause was written is that, the seller is going to make sure that it is done. Otherwise, we could walk away from the deal. But we don't want to walk away from the deal. What if the seller is for some reason decided, I don't want to do it. I don't want to sell it. I don't want to do this. I don't have to provide them the permit. Then the whole thing falls apart.
And I think we know from a lot of experience, 4 weeks may not sound like a lot of time, but when you're transacting in selling, buying, and making these big purchases, 4 weeks could make a huge difference. We've seen market shifts in a matter of days. So this was almost like in 4 weeks, if this doesn't work out, your clients could be, homeless. And not have a home.
So basically it was very important that we had a lot of trust here, and it was a very collaborative process between us. Like, we had this assurance from this guy verbally that he's committed to making sure that this permit is going to get closed, and he did build a quality product. So we went ahead with that, and being a prick that I am, I'd follow up with this guy every 3 days. What happened? Did you do the inspection? Did the inspector come? What did he say? Where are we at? What documentations you're providing him? Every 3 days or 4 days, I would follow up with this guy. After a little while, I started giving him a little bit more leeway because the thing is that when I message him, the guy's replying right away. And also on the same end, my client's messaging me, what's going on? Did you ask him this? What did he need? Blah, blah, blah. So it's like you're trying to manage everybody all at the same time over here. It got down to the point of we're getting very close. I'm talking to the seller and he's like, listen, I might need an extra week. It will really help me out. Like, can we do something? And I'm like, oh my God, like I can't like really do this. Like, I really need to get this thing closed. But he's at the same time telling me like, hey, Hussein, I'm doing this. This inspection happened. We passed the installation. We did this. There's a little bit of this that needs to be done. We're working on it. It's going to be done in the next day. So he keeps giving me documentations and everything else like that. So you can start trusting the process that this is going to be, happening. It's moving it forward.
And for part of that 4 weeks, he wasn't well either, the seller / agent. And even then, even when he was not well, he was connecting with you. He was responding to you. And I think this is the first time I saw an agent be so thorough and so diligent. Not ignore, like you said, did not ignore you even once, even when he was not well. And
dude, and I mean by not well, This guy had a leg surgery. He had a leg surgery, and he takes a selfie video coming out of the operating room. He's like, everything is like droopy, and I'm gonna call you back. I just got out of surgery, but everything is gonna be fine. I was like, oh my goodness, bro! Like, what do you tell this man?
His commitment was just
His commitment was
actually
unreal.
just it matched your commitment level,
Yeah.
right?
So you know what? It's just like, I did get, pressure from my client, but I had to explain to my client, like, I have a very good feeling about this guy. Like the way that he's communicating, I don't think he's going to dodge us or, anything's going to go wrong over here. And again, after this big story, everything went really, really well.
Yeah, and I think
he met his timeline.
He met his timeline. Yeah, actually, he was ahead of his timeline a little bit as well. I think this one stood out to us because very rarely do we come across other agents that it just felt good. This deal felt good. It was like you were on the team, because I think a lot of times we forget that everyone has the same goal. The buyer is obviously buying the home because they want it, and the seller is selling it because they have other plans. So I think that gets lost in the transaction. And this was, everyone wants the same things. Let's just work with each other's timelines. Let's make things work. And I honestly, even though I never got to personally talk to this agent, just felt very good working with this man. So
yeah, I really hope that we run into him again.
And if he's watching, we hope that he knows.
I'm going to send him this clip. No, but like, you know what? That was really good. That was a real, true professional way of having deals work out and being collaborative, understanding where we're coming from, and being able to convey to our client to keep our client, calm
at the same time.
At the same time, because it is a big deal. It's not a small thing when you're going to be, transitioning your family from one neighborhood to a completely different neighborhood. And with the purchase prices we're talking about are not just small purchase prices. They're pretty significant. Yeah. So, everything has to work out really, really, really well. At the end of the day, I think both sides are incredibly happy, and we're really happy with the results of this. And our clients, hands down, got an amazing property, and they're not going to have to do really anything to this. And the stuff that they're going to have to do, my guy loves to do that stuff on the outside. So I think he's actually going to have a blast doing it. And I think he's going to be able to add so much more value to this property. And I hope that he's going to sell it in like 3 to 5 years. And I would love to represent that property, because it's going to look outstanding. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Hope you guys have learned from this. And I hope you guys comment below and let us know what you guys think about this story. And if you guys have experienced something else like this. And if you guys have any other questions, our calendar link is always below. So I encourage you guys to click on the link below, and let's have an honest conversation about real estate and what your real estate needs are. And I would love to just give you my feedback, my 2 cents on how you may consider moving forward. Until next time, guys, remember one thing.
Get Kabani, get sold.
Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold.